when I build a motorcycle, first of all, it's the actual geometry, the function, the numbers of the motorcycle, the correct numbers that make the motorcycle work well. And then, you have to make the bodywork all along. I mean, absolutely, I thought of Danny's size. Every aspect of this bike build has been to suit his size. The whole project is definitely a challenging project because you're talking about, Danny Pedrosa, who's, obviously a three-time world champion. I've looked at every aspect of it. The fact that he's from Spain, the fact that his riding ability is high. Just, there's so many aspects to it that are difficult that, it's hard to just pin down which one is going to be the biggest factor. So I thought, okay, well, this is a project, we're doing in America, and we're doing it for Spain, Red Bull and Honda and all this, and all those things kind of came together, and I thought, well, the most iconic thing in America where motorcycle racing really started was dirt track. When I was 2 years old, my mom called me Michael Motorcycle, because I just would go crazy when I saw motorcycles. And I got to see some of the most beautiful hand-built race bikes ever built. The MV Agustas, the early Ducatis, this kind of stuff. And I just held on to those shapes in my head. And then back then, you couldn't buy parts to make a motorcycle go better. You had to figure out what was wrong and then make parts. So I just, at a young age, started, learning how to make parts and spent most of my high school in metal shop. And I still study it. The rest of my life kind of jumping from one company to the next to learn about different types of fabrication and, vacuum bagging and composites and all this kind of stuff. And I've been applying that to my bikes, and I think people enjoy it. The motorcycle becomes part of the rider. That's why I always start sort of the same way. I start with, with these hand-built bikes, with a race bike. After looking at a lot of pictures Danny sent through, this magical picture came through for me, which was somebody had converted a standard CR500 into a dirt track bike. And I thought, okay, this makes sense now, because the CR500 motor is, to me, kind of one of the most iconic motors Honda ever built. So really, one of the first cruxes is this motor. It's a big motor, it's difficult to start. So we address that by moving the port timing, putting some little relief slots to lower the low-speed piston pressure, so it'll be easier for Danny to start, And then I designed the kickstand in a way where Danny can stand on the peg and kick it. Kind of trying to address everything. The carburetor was built by Electron, and this specific carburetor will never have to be tuned once it's set, because it adjusts to different temperatures and pressures and altitudes on its own.
A very good start by Danny Pedrosa. Fires up. Danny Pedrosa wins. Pedrosa leads the way to the left hand. Pedrosa so far okay. Danny Pedrosa wins here in Bruno Memorial.
This bike is unique in every aspect. I mean, it's a hand-built motorcycle from the engine up. Even the engine, we did lots of modification to the engine to make it more usable, to make it easier to start, sort of tame the beast a little bit. but you know, it's a hand-built chromoly frame. The triple clamps are handmade here in America, adjustable offset. All the parts, all the little parts are special little hand-built parts.
I would like just to announce that next year I will not compete in the championship. It's a very hard decision. This is the sport I love.
Danny is a very honest guy, and he's very proud and correct. And so this little samurai logo is very important to him. So we put it on in a way where a lot of people maybe won't ever even see it. But it's when the hard light hits it, it pops. It's a surprise. It's hidden in a special way, in a very honorable way. It's a tiny bike, really. It's a tiny 70 horsepower, very light and very fast. Like himself, Little Samurai. This is the Little Samurai sword. That's what I built.